In Betrayal and Antara, you walk from village to village. There's always an excuse why you can't get a horse. Well, and at times you'll get fatigued and your people will get hungry and they'll be looking for some food. There's you go to different inns, sometimes they have a room, sometimes they don't. But what they always have is different food different that you can buy. So for instance right here, roast chicken, yummy. And you go to a different town, they'll have bread, they'll have cheese, they'll have all kinds of different choices. You might think, like I used to think when I first started the game, why buy anything but rations? I mean, rations don't expire, they never go bad, and you never have an issue with them. Well, I'm going to tell you now why you should consider buying those foods from those different towns. So there's all kinds of different food you can buy in this game. There's bread, meat pies, cheese, your classic rations. There's fish, there's roast chicken, and there's legs of lamb. Now, usually, the reason you buy these things, the most important reason is, one, they're available. Not every town has rations for you to buy. And two, they're usually cheaper to buy some of them. At least some of them are cheaper. So bread and cheese and fish are always cheaper than rations. They can feed you. So this number here tells you how many rations each one is. Bread is usually only like 5 burlas, and it'll get you 4. And this is 4 of them. So for 2 people, that's 2 days. Cheese, again, it's also roughly the same price as bread. It's usually only like 6 burlas. Fish, 6 or 7, usually like 7 burlas to get 6 rations of fish. But usually rations can range anywhere from the cheapest in Briala at 29 burlas to up to like over 50 in later on, and you get 14 of them. So if you translate that at 50, obviously it's really expensive. There'll be like 4 burlas per a single, ration. These foods expire at different rates. Thankfully, the game will usually use the rations that expire first. Well, first, frankly. So, yeah, I know. I had to go to everywhere to get them. But so I've calculated. I figured it out that bread lasts 5 days, cheese 6, meat pies 7, fish lasts 7 days, roast chicken 8, and leg of lambs 8 days. So usually the best, if you can find bread and cheese, they'll last you a little bit of time. They're pretty cheap, but I'd say fish are really the best. These are such a great value. If they sell fish at that town, I would recommend buying it. It's a very cheap source of food. The advantage to like roast chicken and legs of lamb is that they can be stacked. You can stack more of them in your inventory, right? Like, so roast chicken can go up to 10, and leg of lamb up to 8. Like, you can stack more of them if you have limited inventory space. I've of course emptied my inventory out here just for this video. Another aspect of the game, of course, is fatigue. Your guys, in game seconds, in real seconds, it feels like they can barely go anywhere without having to rest. But in game time, they can walk for 16 hours without and after they walk for 16 hours, they only need to rest for 5. It's actually pretty impressive. But of course, you can keep going after you get fatigued. The downside, of course, is that your stats will go down per each percent. So if it's 1% fatigue, your stats decline by 1%. It can go all the way up to 99% fatigue, which I hope you don't go up to, of course, and that would put all your stats down to 1. Hey guys, who wants to get drunk, right? Why not? About to fight, get drunk and start fighting. So what it does is it increased my health by 5, decreased my stamina by 6, increased his strength by 4. For Aaron, it increased his health by 5, and it decreased his stamina by 7, and his strength increased by 2. Each person loses about 10% of their melee and 10% of their defense, 10% spellcasting, 10% spell accuracy lost. The effects of this are not quite as easy to see maybe on the beginning of the game, but, let's get into a fight.
Don't you just hate it when a...
Why don't you mind your own business? Don't interfere and maybe we'll give you a turn when we're done.
William, we've got to do something.
You know what? I was just thinking the same thing.
The pathing is so weird. Like, I definitely wanted him to just go here, but okay. Honestly, at the beginning of the game, you can barely tell the difference.
Are you all right? They didn't hurt you, did they?
I'm fine, thanks.
Think nothing of it. What's a pretty young woman like you doing traveling off the roads by herself?
I don't see how that's any of your business, you...
William Escobar of House Escobar, at your service. And this is my friend, Aaron Coeur d'Alene.
Pleased to meet you, I'm sure. Now, if you'll just stand aside, I'll be on my way. I've got to get to Balmestry with these animal skins.
I could tell those bandits were interested in skin, all right, and I know whose. It's a good thing we came along when we did.
I had the situation under control.
You know, that was my first thought when I saw one lone woman fending off an entire band of armed men. No need to stop here, William, my boy. She obviously has the situation well under control. How foolish of me to expect any gratitude.
I could have taught those cretins quite a lesson without any help from you two. But whether I needed it or not, you did come to my assistance, so I guess I owe you one. I was going to sell these skins and be home with Dad before month's end, but it would appear I am beholden to you, William Escobar of House Escobar and his friend Aaron Coeur d'Alene. Where are we bound?
Just what do you mean by we?
I am a woman of honor. I prefer to repay my debts promptly. I'll not have you showing up in a few months claiming I owe you a favor.
We wouldn't.
I'm coming with you until we even up the score.
But a pleasure to have you along, Miss...
Kaylin Usher. Now let's get going. With the way you meddle in other people's affairs, shouldn't be too long before someone tries to kill the pair of you. With any luck, I'll still make it home by month's end.
You obviously didn't have to watch all that storyline. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.